Good morning, everyone. We are live on Facebook. We are live here, and today is a beautiful Tuesday, August 25th for advanced objection handling. So as we get started, I want to go over some fundamentals here that I always go over. So actually, first, I want to welcome the ones that are here live. We got Archie, we got Ivy, we got Margaret, Sarah, good morning, Tyler, Valerie Fleming, you just chimed in. So welcome, everyone. I appreciate you guys taking the time to come live. Today, we're going to go over the objection handlings that we put on the role-playing schedule this week. I would like to open the floor up to anyone. When you guys have a question, chime in. If you guys have an objection that you guys want to go over, let's go over it. But for the most part, I'm going to focus on the fundamentals, and I'm going to be focusing on the objection handlings that we're working for this week. So fundamental number one is you can make up in numbers where you lack in skill. You can make up in skill where you lack in numbers, the other way around. What this means, guys, is that the more you practice, the better you get. And I've never met anybody in anything, anywhere on planet Earth that has gotten really, really, really good at what they do by not practicing. So we know that practice always makes perfect. So that's what this role-playing group is about. It's sparring, right? We're practicing when there's not a $20,000, $10,000, $5,000 commission check that's on the line. So you can make up in skill where you lack in numbers. Number two, the person who asks the questions always controls the conversation. You've got to get into the point, like for those of us that have children that are young, how they always say why and they always say how. You always got to get into that. You cannot change somebody's perception. That's number three. You cannot change a person's perception or belief. Only they can. And the only way that you're going to do that is get them thinking about things by asking questions, right? Again, it's like herding sheep, right? You ask a question, you move them this way, and then you run over and you move them that way. That's what this is all about. Number four, you don't have a lead until you know their why and when. A lot of people are talking about their clients, and they use a lot of terms interchangeably. The truth of the matter is, if you don't know somebody's why and when, why is their motivation, when is the temperature gauge of their motivation, if you don't know those two things, then you only have a prospect. You don't have a lead until you know those two things. And then until you know those two things, that's when you make a business decision on how much effort you're going to put into them. Of course, the more people that you have that you know their why and when, the better off your business is going to be. But the objective here is whenever you're talking to anybody about real estate is to frame questions to identify their why and their when. Everything else comes second. Last one, when in doubt, mirror their objection as a question. A lot of you I've talked to one-on-one, you've asked questions, you've asked me about how to handle a certain rebuttal. Sometimes I respond with just reframing your question as a question. And that works really, really well when you want to change the tempo, change the pace of a conversation, but also if you want to have time to think. So with that, those are the five fundamentals that I practice on a daily basis. And I think that it would help all of you guys out if you guys practice those as well. Now, the first objection we're going to go over is the blow off. This always comes up. I get this on a daily basis, right? The blow off is, can you call me back next week? I'm busy. I'm at the gym. I'm having breakfast. I'm on a walk. Can you call me back, right? The truth is here, guys, and I want you guys to write this down. People make time for things that are important. All of us do. There are certain things in our life that there is nothing that is more important than if something like that comes up, right? So you have to accept that human beings, we're all the same. People make time for things that are important. So by them blowing you off like that, it's not a personal attack. They're probably really not busy. They're just too busy with what they're doing, regardless of what it is, to talk to you, right? So who wants to role play with me on this? Margaret, you up for doing a little bit of role playing? You were the first one here, so I'm going to ask you to unmute.
Yes.
You okay to role play? Awesome.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to be the agent, you're going to be the prospect, right? We're just going to do a basic follow-up call. We're not going to really go any much than dealing with the blow-off. So ring, ring.
Hello,
Yeah, hi, Margaret.
who's this?
Oh, hey, Margaret. This is Brett over here at Keller Williams in Irvine. How are you doing today?
Oh my God, what are you calling me for?
What am I calling you for?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going in a different direction, right? So I want you just to go off and just give me the pushback, right?
Oh,
The
I see.
pushback on,
I'm
oh,
sorry.
hey, Brett, it's a follow-up call, right?
Oh, I see.
I was
Okay.
going to go in that direction, but it would take me off script.
Okay.
Um, so, so number one, guys, I want you to want to point something out. I use an assumptive opening, right? I called Margaret and I said, hi, Margaret. And Margaret's response was, yeah, who's this? Right? So there are two things that you have to accept when you're calling on someone. And this is true with you too, right? When you get a call on your phone, and it's an unidentified number, the number one thing that you're going to think is who's calling me, okay? Number two, the second thing that you're going to wonder what they're thinking is, why are they calling me? What do they want, right? So when you're calling somebody, whether it's a follow-up call, whether it's initial call, you only have a few moments to really identify who you are, why you're calling, and capture their attention. So that's what we're going to do, Margaret. I'm going to identify who I am. I'm going to identify what I want, and then you're just going to push me off, right? You're just going to give me the blow off saying, hey, I'm busy. Can you call me back next week? So, or call me back later, or you choose. So ring, ring.
Hello.
Yeah, hi, Margaret.
Yes.
Oh, hey, Margaret. This is Brett over here at Keller Williams of Irvine. How are you doing today?
Oh, you know what, Brad? I'm busy right now. I'm at work. Can you call me next time?
Oh, absolutely. I'm sorry for reaching you at work. Do you mind if I could schedule a time for you just to follow up with you, like for 3 or 4 or 5 minutes later on today? Would that be okay that I schedule a time with you to do that?
Can you call me maybe in a couple days? Because recently
Couple
I'm,
of days?
yes.
Sure. Could I schedule a time with you now that would be convenient? Just 3 or 4
Okay,
minutes?
sure.
Would Wednesday at noon? Do you have 3 or 4 minutes Wednesday at noon, do you think?
Okay, all right.
All right, perfect, perfect. Okay, guys, so here's what I want to point out on this technique that I use. It's called a micro commitment. So in this role playing, Margaret really was busy, right? She really was at work. She really couldn't take my call. However, when you actually go for a micro commitment, if she wasn't really busy and I said, okay, well, can I schedule an appointment with you, just 3 or 4 minutes, just to follow up with you? Could we schedule a time to do that? Most people, when they are actually in a position where they have to commit to something, regardless of how large or how small, they're going to want more details onto why you want to schedule an appointment. It's a committal issue, right? Some of you I've actually spoken to and actually use this technique on. I use this on a daily basis. Most of you know I talk to a lot of real estate agents. A lot of real estate agents are really busy. Not really busy, but really busy, but they're just too busy to talk to me. So, and this is the same with expired listings, it's the game with for sale by owners. Typically, if you're doing circle prospecting around just listed, just solds, not so much, right? The higher quality the lead, the harder the harder or more challenging the call is going to be, right? But in the micro commitment, what's going to happen is that either A, they're really busy and they're going to say, absolutely, sure, call me back 3 or 4 minutes at noon. Number two, they're going to say, well, what is this about, right? And when they say, what is this about, that gives you your 1 or 2 minutes that you need just to do a follow-up call, right? So when you're dealing with the blowback, as you're talking and you're partnering up with your role play partner today, and you get that blow off, I'm at work, I'm at call, accept the fact that when you're calling someone, depending on how cold that call is going to be more likely how much time they don't have for you, right? So Margaret, let's kind of role play that out again to the end. I'm going to ask you to unmute. So ring, ring.
Hello.
Yeah, hi, Margaret.
Yeah,
Hey, Margaret, this is Brett over here at Keller Williams of Irvine. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How can I help you?
Terrific. Hey, Margaret, the reason why I'm giving you a call is because yada, yada, yada. Did I catch you at a bad time or do you have a minute to talk?
Um, what do you want me to? What do you mean to answer?
No, just blow me off. Well, you know, Brett, I'm really busy.
Wait. You know, right now I'm in the middle of something. Can we talk in a couple hours?
Couple hours? Absolutely. So what, 10 o'clock? You think I can schedule a time with you to call you back for 3 or 4 minutes at 10 o'clock? Would that work for you?
Sure.
All right, terrific. See, so it's just a micro commitment, guys. You have to respect people's time. You have to respect the fact that regardless of what their activity is doing, at that moment of time, they're too busy to you. But you have to ask the right questions. If she would have said, what is this about? She now gave me permission to actually have that 2 or 3 minutes now, right? But if not, I want to get a commitment, because when I get a commitment, it's an appointment, and it's in their mind, it's an appointment. So it's something that's going to happen. Now you just need to make sure that whatever time that you set is that you call them back at that specific time. Put it on your calendar, make an alert. There's a good chance, 50-50 chance you're going to get a voicemail. But what you do is on a voicemail, you say, hey, Margaret, this is Brett over at Keller Williams Irvine. We had an appointment to call you back for 3 or 4 minutes today at 10 o'clock. I'm sorry I missed you. Please call me back at this number. And then you just go into your follow-up sequence. The next day you call back. Hey, Margaret, this is Brett again over at Keller Williams of Irvine. How are you? I'm great, Brett. Hey, I called you back at 10 o'clock yesterday. Did you by chance get my voicemail? Yes, I did. Oh, well, clearly you didn't have time to talk. Do you have a few minutes now? Sooner or later, they're going to accept the fact that they're either going to talk to you for 2 or 3 minutes, or you're going to continue to call. This is a technique that I used with when I was in franchise development, when I would be calling on these major companies. You know, you want to know a hard call? Try calling on $1 billion organization and try to get to the top guy to talk to them about buying a franchise. That's tough, but you have to be persistent, right? Typically it took me, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 calls to get them on the phone for 2 or 3 minutes just to get that first no, right? I'm not interested. You know, now the follow-up begins. Same thing with expired, same thing with for sale by owners. All right, guys, next one. I'm not interested in relisting at this time. Anyone want to volunteer to take this one? Or I can role play with myself. Katya, you want to do this one?
Of course. Good morning. Yes.
Good morning.
Hi, Brett. Yeah. I am the client. I'm just telling you.
Yes, you're the client.
Okay. So, thank you for contacting me. Good morning. But I am not interested. I'm not interested in right now.
Oh, you're not interested in relisting right now?
No. You know, I had a bad experience. Not a good agent. I'm just staying out.
Oh, okay. You had a bad experience with an agent. You know, sadly, that
I
happens a lot.
I don't really want to say anything, but do you have anything for me? Is anything would spark my interest?
You know, that's actually a really great question. Now, Katya, while I have you on the phone, if you don't mind me asking, why was it that you were actually trying to sell this home anyways? I mean, most people don't put the home on the market just to list it. They want to sell it, right?
Well,
so I'm curious, why were you trying to sell it?
Basically, I was trying to sell it because I thought I could move someplace else, and then I changed my mind. But really, my problem was then when the agent came over and we went through the numbers, it was completely unrealistic. I didn't trust what the agent was giving to me, and okay. I didn't look any further. But I am, you know, I have still interest. So if you have anything interesting to get my attention, I'm listening.
Okay. So if you didn't sell this home, what would you do?
Well, I'm staying where you're at? Yeah, exactly. And I'm just kind of like, you know, like everybody else, waiting and not really sure, you know, that kind of a thing that we are in.
So Katya, we're in a very strange time. So let me ask you this question. If in fact the market took a turn for the worse and the values of your property started to decline, would that change anything for you?
Absolutely. Okay. But this, yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right. So we're going to go ahead and stop right there, guys, because I can just go into...
Let me just tell you, I have been up to it. I know that, you know, in my area, you know, my residence is in Orange County. I know exactly that, you know, this summer, particularly, a lot of the property in my range have been selling for, you know, less than 21 days. I do understand that right now it's a good time, but I am not sure it's a good time for me because of the time frame. Would I sell my house? Am I going to put myself through the emotion again? I'm not sure I want to do that. So if you have something new that I could grab on and get my house back on the listing, I might be open to do so.
Okay. So guys, this is what I'm going with this, right? I'm not interested in relisting, right? So the first thing I did was I rephrased what she said in the form of a question. You're not interested in relisting? And then she said no, and then she gave me an explanation. That is a natural way that people communicate, right? If you rephrase what they said in the question back to them, they're going to respond to you and give you a little bit more detail, right? And then what I went into it, I'm like, well, you know, most people don't want to just list their property. They try to sell their property. If you don't mind me asking, those are softeners, right? I throw those in on purpose. If you don't mind me asking, while I have you on the phone, those are reasons that I'm giving to them on why I'm asking the next question, and it softens the directness of it. If I just went into it, say, well, that's interesting. Why did you want to sell this home in the first place, right? That's a little bit more straightforward, not necessarily confrontational, but direct. And a lot of people are very turned off by very direct. Unless you're talking to a person whose personality is a driver, a lot of people, and which is 1/4 of the population, you're going to probably get a little bit of, you're going to invoke a little bit of feeling on that, and it's not going to be good. So in order to avoid that, if you don't mind me asking, why were you selling this home? And then she told me, and then she told me about, you know, not being able to sell it. And then I said, how would it affect you if, in fact, through this crazy time that we're having, then the market were to shift? Would that change anything for you? Right? Guys, most homeowners, I think the last statistic I saw, they don't move except once every 14 years. These guys are not following real estate. These guys do not know what they don't know, right? It is our job as professional real estate agents to educate them on helping them get what they want. And a lot of them, the only thing that they know that they want is that they want to sell their home, and they want to sell it in the fastest time for the top dollar. So she, in this scenario, she doesn't know what's going on in the market. It's my job to ask questions to help her understand that and to give some statements. So Katya, we can move on and go a little bit deeper on that, but that could have been like a 5-minute role play.
Yeah, and I really I just want to say, I really like the softener, because when you ask the question, like I had to really kind of pause, and I had a little bit of like, oh, what is he asking? So those are good, I think, because we're talking all about emotional, and we're talking about people really not knowing what they want. And
yeah, softeners are extremely important, whether you're talking on the phone or just communication in general.
Yeah.
In fact, those of you, again, who have talked to me in person, on the phone or whatnot, start noticing my language patterns. I have practiced this stuff for 2 decades, and it is ingrained in what I do. It's just the way that I speak. It drives my wife crazy, but now she's adopted to it, so she does it right back to me. And it's just understanding communication, right? If you understand communication, you can relay your points through questions and answering, and help a prospect come to their own conclusion. It doesn't always come to the conclusion that you want. You know, they want to sell their home, they want to do it now, they wanted to do it, you know, for top dollar. But you come to a conclusion of, now you know what to do. The worst thing to have is to have a prospect that you don't know what the heck's going on, right? Everybody has a list of those. I have a list of people I need to follow up with that are dodging me, that I'm trying to find out where they're at, right? So next one, let's move along. How are we doing on time? Oh, wow, 8:50. So I'm gonna kind of move through. I don't need an agent. Okay, so let's talk about how you respond to this. I don't need an agent. You know what, Mr. and Mrs. Seller? You're absolutely right. You don't need an agent, but for 98% of the homeowners that sell their homes, they do need an agent. So if you don't mind me asking, is your goal to sell this home, or is your goal just to put this home on the market to offer it for sale? Right? Now, if I did not put a softener in on that, if you don't mind me asking, then I would have come back they would have perceived me as a jerk. You could actually put a softener in there and say, look, if you don't mind, I got to be a little bit direct, and I don't want you to get mad at me. Is that okay? So now you're giving them permission and preparing them for what comes next. You know, we all do that in communication. You know what? Actually, I talked to one of our agents. I said, you know what? I got some good news and I got some bad news. Which do you want first? I want the bad news. I've prepared them mentally for what's to come next. And so therefore, their reaction is not going to be as if I just hit them with it, right? So I don't need an agent. You know what? Absolutely. This is like a pattern interrupt, right? I don't need an agent. You're absolutely right. You don't need an agent. What? An agent's telling me that I don't need an agent? However, 97% of all homeowners who sell their home do it through an agent, so they needed an agent. So if you don't mind me asking, and I don't want you to get mad at me, wow, I just lost my train of thought. If you don't mind me asking, do you want to just list this home for sale, or do you actually want to sell it for the top dollar in the quickest amount of time? Oh, well, I want to sell it. Okay, so if you don't mind me asking, why do you need to sell it? Well, moving my job. Oh, okay, great. You're moving your job. When do you plan on, getting your new job? Well, I got to be in my new job in 60 days. 60 days. Wow, good for you, right? And then you just kind of follow through the natural path. So most objections, guys, come out in the first probably 30 seconds of a conversation, and they're going to be low level. Very rarely do you have to go what I call going 2 or 3 levels deep, where you rebuttal an objection or you respond to a question, and then they just go deeper on the objection. So you have to go deeper, and then they go deeper on the objection, and then you have to go deeper. Like, that's a serious sparring match. Typically, if you respond to somebody's question or objection with confidence and with clarity, they're going to, 90% of the time, it's going to satisfy, and you're going to be able to move the conversation along, right? There is going to be that small amount that you go deeper. Have fun with it, right? Chances are you're not going to get them anyways because they're so, gnarly. The price is still down 10% from where I bought my home 5 years ago. Now, for those of you that are in different markets, we are a North American role-playing group. This might be true in your market. This is so not true in my market, but I wanted to make sure that we talked about it because this could be a reality a year from now based on all the craziness that's going on, right? Not saying it is, it could be. The price is down 10% from where I bought my home 5 years ago. So, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, if you don't mind me asking, if your home is down 10% from 5 years ago, what would you do if, in fact, the prices started declining, the rate of decline started to increase rapidly? What would you do, right? It's a question. I'm not trying to tell them what. Now they're going to come back with me. Well, what do you mean? Well, gosh, you know what, guys? There's some really crazy things going on in this market. On one side, people think that when COVID passes, that it's just going to be all sunshine and rainbows. On the other side, that people think it's going to be doom and gloom. We're in a recession, depression, and asset values, not just houses, everything's going to start falling. So there's a 50-50 chance that one of these sides are going to be right. So my question to you is, if the half that believes that homes are going to start rapidly declining, if that happens, what would you do? Would you just stay? Now you're digging out the real objection. Now you're solving problems, but you don't go into stating things. You don't go into telling. You continue to ask questions, right? Because that is them. When you start asking these questions, you're going to start seeing them process in their mind, and they're starting to ponder it. They're starting to think. They're starting to change their belief system. They're starting to understand the scenario. They're starting to understand why you're talking to them, right? And that's really what we want to do. Just have great conversations. I'm going to take a break. I have no rush to sell it now. Now, the questions formulated on this is, if they really don't have to sell it now, don't sell it, right? Your job as a real estate agent is not to find the people who are looking to sell a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now. Unless your bills come due 1, 2, 3 years from now, we're looking for things that are going in the next 30, 60, 90 days. We're looking for people who have to sell, not want to sell. So the focus here is that if you get an objection like this, I'm going to take a break and I have no rush to sell it. Oh, you know what? That's really interesting. Most homeowners, they don't list their home for sale just to list it. They actually want to sell it. So if you don't mind me asking, what's the real reason why you want to sell the home, right? You're drawing it out. I use softeners, right? And I also use a technique called a deflection. What I said is like, most homeowners do this. Now it's a one-on-one conversation. I'm talking to them. I'm banking it off the wall. This is like horseshoes, right? Horseshoes and grenades. You throw it, you get close enough, you get a point. The nice thing is that when you use a deflection and you use terms like most homeowners, most buyers, most consumers, most agents, you're not really being confrontational. You still have the same effect because it's communication. You're just banking off the wall. Something like this, the more direct a rebuttal is, the more you have to use deflections, and the more you have to use softeners, right? If I didn't use either one of those techniques, hey, do you just want to put your home on the market or do you actually want to sell it? If I just came out saying that, I'm probably not going to get a second phone call. I'm probably not going to get a second call because in that fraction of a second, they just judged me. They judged me probably as a salesy jerk, right? But if I go, look, I totally get it. If you don't mind me asking, or if you don't mind me saying, most homeowners, they don't put their home on the market just for the fact of listing it. Their focus is actually selling it in the fastest amount of time for the most money. Are you in the same boat? Well, yeah, I'm in the same boat. Okay, so if you don't mind me asking again, why is it that you need to sell this home? Right, guys, remember, why and when? Why is the motivation? What that person says next is really going to dictate the direction I go. Well, I really don't have to sell it. I just know that the market's up really high and, I just want to see, if I sell it and I get my price for it, then I'll sell it. Okay. So you're just looking to capitalize on your asset, on your investment, right? Yeah. Okay. So let me ask you this. We live in some really freaky times. If in fact the market were to turn and you started seeing asset prices, not just real estate, but all asset prices started to rapidly decline, what would you do then? Well, if that was the case, I would just take it off the market and I would die here. Whoa, not a good lead. They're going to die there. Okay. Which means that you're going to have to outlive them. You don't want to do that. Whoa, what do you mean? You think that could happen? Well, yeah, it's completely possible. May I tell you why? Getting permission to explain. Yeah, tell me why. Well, this is what's going on. Right? The next one, guys, and then we're going to close up with this one. What about the commission? Boy, we've never heard that one. Well, God, what about the commission? Quiet, question mark. Now you need to go back into a technique that I use. You got to be fair. And for those of you that know me, I don't do deals unless it's fair on both parties. You need to actually have that conversation with the seller. So Mr. and Mrs. Seller, the fee that I charge is directly related to the services I provide and the experience that I have. Do you feel that I can sell this home? Well, yes, I think that you're qualified in selling this home. Okay. Do you think that I could sell it in the quickest time for the most money? Yeah, we do actually think that you can do that. Do you think that there's any other real estate agent that's more qualified to sell your home in this area than me? Right? Well, I don't know. We haven't talked to him. Well, I can tell you, I'm very serious about my job, about my profession. So there's not an agent out here that knows more than me about this market, right? Boast a little bit, guys. People want confidence. So let me ask you this. You're at, you want to reduce my commission based on what other less experienced agents want to charge you. And I totally get where that's coming from. But based on my experience and based on the fact that you think I'm the best person for the job, I believe that the commission rate I'm charging is fair. But I'm curious, what is it that you think would be fair? Now you're putting it in their court. Most people ask you to reduce your commission because of what everyone else is doing. Well, everyone else isn't as qualified as you, right? Every other attorney isn't, someone who gets out of law school just with the bar isn't as qualified as someone who's 20 years into business, who has a really good track record of getting things done. Most doctors aren't treated the same. We're the same way, but you have to take control of the conversation. And the only way you do that, guys, is again, through asking questions. Okay. So guys, I got 9 o'clock. I need to go into the next meeting. I do want to give you guys a minute to have any questions. So if you have any questions, hold the space bar down.
Thank you.
Thanks, Katya. All right, guys, so you guys got to get on your role-playing sessions. I got to get into my meeting. Thank you for those of you who attended live. Thank you for who attended on Facebook. And next Thursday, 8:30 a.m., we're going to do this again. Have a great day.